What's up, brother and sisters? Brother G World 7 underscore D at it again. I'm going back to Clyde Winter's book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of the United States. All right. And I'm going to go to 250 this time. And I'm going, because this is a very key point that you need to adhere to. Get it clear. The black Native Americans came here mainly by boats. All right. The Melanesians settled the West Coast, while Africans from West Africa settled the East Coast of the Americas. Other blacks crossed the Bering Straits. Now, right there, he's talking about three different groups of black people. All right, I mentioned numerous of different black peoples here in Americas. He just mentioned three. I mentioned before how when the Sahara Desert dried up, you had people who migrated here, but particularly when the Great Lakes dried up. All right. FBA, Aboriginal, and Sub-Saharan African origins. The archaeological evidence makes it clear that the Mongoloid Native American appeared in the archaeological context only 6,000 years ago before the present. It appears that the black Native American dominate the states of Washington, Oregon, and California. There were black Native American tribes in Wyoming and the Dakotas, in Utah, in Colorado, but as a result, the Mongolian Native Americans mainly migrated into the United States, Southwest, and through Mexico infiltrated Meso and South America. Father Louis Hennepin wrote about the black Native Americans in the Dakotas. As usual, we see villages where the Native American tribes were either Mongolian or black. The Nadiwasis were Dakota black Native Americans or Indians. They are part of the Siouan family, known as the Sioux. Hewitt says the name Chippewa, mainly the Nadui Izuawa, a derivative of Nadui, an adder or enemy to the Mongolian Indians. Some of the Chippewa were black tribes. I showed you images of the Chippewa having combed out, picked afros with red, black, and green colors in older videos. There were over 100 tribes in California when the Spanish arrived. And there's a painting, but it says right here, above is a painting by Jean Franquin of San Francisco, a black Native American. I have that image where they show the Aboriginal blacks with little afros in California. The California black Native Americans practiced many lifestyles. Some were hunters and gatherers, while others fished and farmed. Majority of California black Native Americans belonged to the Ohlone tribes. These people were also called Custanoan. Much of what is now Georgia was a stronghold of black and Native Americans, as was Mississippi and Louisiana. These blacks lived predominantly from the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, southward as far as St. Augustine, Florida. The vast majority of native black Americans lived in California or along the eastern seaboard of North America. They belonged to the many confederations, including the Muskogean and Algonquin. Some of their tribal names included Choctaw, Tuscarora, Secolan, Tamacraw, Nanticoke, Cashita, Kushiti, and Yamasi, to name a few. The black Native American tribes may belong to the Muskogean and Algonquin confederacies. Due to the intimate relationship between the black Native American tribes and Mongolian tribes, the black Native American, given the high frequency and haplogroup R1 in Africa, probably introduced this haplogroup to Native Americans, not Europeans. This view is supported by the high frequency of RM173 among Africans and Native Americans in North America. Because of the predominant habitation of black or African Native American tribes in the Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, we find Mongolian Native Americans carrying haplogroup R1 due to the admixture with black Americans. The second majority Y chromosome among Native Americans is RM173. Mongolian Native Americans were the sub-Saharan slaves. Even though RM173 is widespread in Europe, the pattern of European American and Mongolian Native Americans' interaction, mainly violent confrontation as Europeans expand westward, fails to support the hypothesis that European Americans spread haplogroup R to Native Americans. The black Native Americans lived on valuable farmland during the colonial period. The English and Americans wanted this land. This led to violent conflicts between black Native Americans and white Americans. In New England, the black Native Americans were eliminated by slaving, warfare, and forced removal. The French enslaved Native Americans around the Great Lakes of Minnesota, Missouri County, and Louisiana. The Europeans also needed labor to work the fields. The Americans provided the Native Americans guns and cheap goods to purchase Native American/Indian slaves. The black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of black Native Americans sold into slavery by white Indian slave traders were Choctaw and Yamasee and other Carolina tribes. A good example of forced removal of black Native Americans is the case of the Yamasee. The Yamasee was a black Native American who originally lived in Florida and southern Georgia until forced to migrate north into South Carolina by the Spanish in the 16th century. I showed you images of the Yamasee. They wearing turbans in their damn head. The Yamasee were part of the Muscogean Confederacy. This was a confederacy of Mongolian black Native Americans. The whites began to steal the Yamasee land. By 1715, the Yamasee, leading a confederation of other tribes, attacked the whites to drive them off their lands. The Cherokee, who were part of the Muscogean Confederation, broke away and formed an alliance with the British in 1718 and helped defeat the Yamasee. Many Yamasee were not killed off, were sold into slavery. Most Yamasee fled back into ancestral homeland in Florida, which by the time was settled by the Creek. Yamasee were virtually wiped out due to protective combat with the Creek, who felt they were trying to take back the land they formerly owned in Florida. Some of Yamasee joined a similar tribe. In return, the Cherokee took control of Yamasee land. If not for the breakaway of the Cherokee, the whites would have been defeated. By the 18th century, black Native Americans were divided into slave Native Americans and free Indians. Black Native Americans, like the Choctaw, had their own towns or lived on reservations. Other black and Native Americans joined the ranks of Mongolian Indian tribes. Right? And I'm going to maybe skip ahead, and I'm going to stop there. I could read some more, but I'm going to stop there. I said before in my videos how there was various different types of black groups here. I said before that obviously a lot of those black people in those Melanesian islands were selling over to the West Coast, man. I said that those are different groups of black people. So you had the ones on the West Coast, you had the ones in the South, into the Midwest, and you had the ones further east. So you had various different types of black people, and culturally they were different. These Aboriginal blacks. So when black people tell you that we were already here, we were already here. Now you have these idiots online, man, who keep calling our people goofies. You know, these clowns, I think, are tethers. But they keep calling our people goofies when they say they quote Native American. Now, we're not quote Native American. We are the Aboriginal people here, because the Native Americans obviously are a mixture of white, so-called Mongoloid people who were originally black themselves. Those nothing but a mixture of black and white before they came over here. The pale Mongolians. Because the original so-called Mongolians, you can look at those features of the Khoisan people. But those original type blacks were over in Asia, on parts of Asia. When you look at the black people in Asia, there's different types of features with the black people there. I mentioned it before in my last video. But you have various different types of groups. The original Mongoloid blacks came in America were Negroes, period. Let's get this straight. They were Negro looking. But you had various different types of black people here in Americas who settled Americas and also warred with one another. Then you obviously had your black Europeans that were coming here. And then obviously I said with the mega lakes and that drying up, you had people who were in Africa then selling over here when Negroes were already over here. I want you to get the picture. So you had millions of black people already here in this land. Why would you just go get some people from Africa and slay the people when you had the Negroes already here who knew the land? You see, you got it. This is when you do years of research, you pick up on this. But I constantly hear people calling our brothers and sisters goofies and stupid because we use the term, quote, we the original people here. Yes, we were the original people here. Most black people in America today, the Aboriginal blacks, are not descendant of African slaves. They're descendant of the Aboriginal blacks, mostly in the Southeast, who were enslaved, who were reclassified, and also descendant of expelled Moors out of Europe, black Europeans. They're not no West African slaves. That's a lie. There weren't that many slaves brought here. The few that are brought here mixed in with the Aboriginal blacks, but we seem to get the story of the slave, but not the Aboriginal black, like the Geechees. I told you, Geechees, Yuchi Indians, the Yamasi. These Negroes were in the southeast region. These were Aboriginal black people. That's what the damn Geechee were or are. But they took in some, quote, Africans. But the majority of them are Aboriginal Indians. They're no damn African. I know it may hurt a lot of people on that issue, but that's a fact. But the great structures that these brothers and sisters built here in the Americas was awesome. But see, when you've been indoctrinated with this slave narrative, you're just going to think of yourself as a slave. That's why I play with those names. Yamasi, Ogeechee, Geechee, Kankakee, Tallahassee. You know, it's like I said, you know these names are similar because they're the same damn Negroes. And I showed you the structures over the Southwest. And I showed you over in Mali, that same rock structure in the air, high up in the cliffs. They built structures within high up in the cliffs. Why is that similarity? Because it was the same damn Negro people that traded. It came about traveling around the world and traded ideas. These are all Negroes. But with the downfall is the in-house fighting. And also you adopted a lot of these damn non-black Mongoloid people. What some of these groups did. And that's a downfall too. And that's why today we don't need to be allowing outsiders within our group. I'm going to go even further. Now the mess is going down. I think Aboriginal black Americans need to lock out other individuals, including so-called Negro-looking people in other areas. They need to lock down some of them because some of them are causing friction, and they continue to make jokes about us being Aboriginal, like this goofy Ethiopian chick who didn't know what the hell she talking about, and another goofy Negro who calls people goofies for saying that we're the Indians, original Indians, which we are. But he's too goofy, but he's part Caribbean, I believe. But then he hollers FBA. What a moron. But I'm just telling you this now. Study your damn history. We've been here. Get out of there. I say this over and over again. You gotta get away from just Africa. Get in the boat and come to the Americas and study the rest of your history. You have to study the rest of your history. Connect the dots. The original Hawaiians were black. All that Melanesian, Polynesian, Micronesian, that's white man talk. All those were originally Negro people. Is that the other groups had been amalgamated with outside groups, caused them to look like fixed mulattoes today. That's what a lot of Samoans are, fixed mulattoes today. That's what a lot of Hawaiians are, super fixed mulattoes today. You can tell the Samoans today are nothing but a black and a later non-black Asian invasion into their bloodline. When the original Samoans, we go look back 100 years ago, looked like a brother on 79th Street in Chicago, on the south side. I'm telling you now, study your damn history, know your damn history. But also, when you look at even black folks here in the Americas, throughout Asia, even in Africa, there are various different features. So they all did not look the same. So to say we were one global Negro is wrong. You have to understand the fact these groups knew the differences. Some of them may have had afros. Some of them may have had facial hair. Some of them didn't. I'm just trying to tell you that there's a difference between very different black groups. So we've never been one global Negro. You got to get out of that mess. All right? You got to get out of that foolishness about this one global Negro. Learn your history. Continue to elevate your mind, stimulate your mind, and inhale the greatness that your ancestors had seeded the earth with. And spread that throughout your body. And reclaim your real history, your full history. Our people, majority of our people were already here before slavery. Now, a lot of these Negroes keep saying the majority of us were brought over as slaves and there was a few of us here. No. Majority of us were already here. We were in Asia, all through Asia. here in Americas, and you obviously had Africa and Europe. Majority of people who ruled in Europe originally were Negroes. Majority of people all of Africa, including particularly North Africa, were Negroes. Majority of people all through Asia were Negroes. All right, and the majority of people here in Americas were Negroes. They don't want you to know this because this gives you a stronger bond to this land. And then when you want reparations, it makes it even stronger because you're not a foreigner that was brought here in a slave ship. You are an Aboriginal person who was original people here. The first people here. You have to understand that. So we get these goofballs who keep saying they're the descendant of African slaves. You look at the numbers to the slaves brought here, it wasn't that many. So that few that came here, like I said, mixed in with the Aboriginal blacks. And obviously black Europeans. Who some of them went to states of like Tennessee and stuff like that. So we've been here. Stop listening to these boule Negroes who nothing but flunkies of the Democratic Party, or you got some Republican coon. Stop listening to the boule. Stop listening to the boule. Stop listening to the boule. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. Your brother G World. 7 _ D.